buying a briefcase for your wife?
For your work.
We're street punks. This is the real life of street punks.
The economy right now, since it's in such a bad spot, does it affect you at all?
Doesn't affect us. Watch this. Hey, bro. Hey, could you spare any change for a homeless guy?
What's up, man?
Can you spare any change for a homeless guy?
No, man. Can't do it.
Yes, it does affect us. But you have a nice bite.
Gosh, it just depends on the day. Some days they're down here and you can tell they've been drinking much in the morning. And
hey, drink fighting fuck. Hey, let me tell you something about downtown Bakersfield. We only got 3 fucking creeds. That's drink, fight, and fuck.
you know, they want to either scrap or get in somebody's face. Some days they're just pretty mellow. And
This is home. It borders the Ralph's parking lot in Madonna Road. Homeless seek the littered ground because shelter is hard to come by. You nearly have to get on your knees to enter the small opening in the bush. 40s, empty cigarette boxes, beer cans. Soaked cardboard is the bed. About 600 of the San Luis Obispo homeless sleep outside.
Seeing a lot more people just displaced from their housing due to loss of job, the economy. I mean, it's very expensive to live in this area, and the resources are also being cut. There's nothing. There's not even a place to put your kid on timeout if you want to. I mean, we're just, when it's full here, we're falling all over each other because we're seeing numbers up to 184, I think, is our high.
So the job market has radically changed too, and people are cutting back. So that's creating a lot of homeless, and so it's fear, man.
There's just no work, Men I compete with, I've never used a computer. There's a lot of better looking students that are younger, and so, I don't know, I haven't been able to find work. Yeah, it almost makes it overwhelming to where, you think, well, God, am I ever gonna get a job?
Some people just kind of give up life.
California edition. I'm Brad Pomerantz. We are now joined by Steve Gazelle. He is the Chief of Police in San Luis Obispo, and he has brought today Derek Johnson, who's the Community Development Director in San Luis Obispo as well. And I'm surprised that we'll be talking about homelessness. As you know, San Luis Obispo has been deemed the happiest place in North America. I recently spoke with Jan Marks. You have about 98% of the people that are satisfied with San Luis Obispo. Of course, she is the mayor of this city. But in a recent community survey, it found that the point of concern at the highest level is homelessness. San Luis Obispo residents are concerned about the homeless. Why is that?
Absolutely, and again, it's a pleasure to be here, Brad.
Please.
Homeless, as you said, is a top concern in our community, the homeless population. I've been the chief since January of this year, and this has clearly been the top issue in the community and top issue for me personally.
I think it's fair to say that individuals don't have a real sense of who the homeless are. They may have one view, but it really is very different from that. Derek, why don't you talk to us about the homeless population in San Luis Obispo, which I believe is probably a microcosm of homelessness generally.
In San Luis Obispo, we've really thought about a model for and to help the public really understand the homeless population in our community. And through a collaborative effort with nonprofits and the county social service providers, we've really come to the conclusion that there are really 3 segments of the homeless population. We have the ready or the want tos. Those are individuals who want to access services, are in a position where they're ready to sustain and engage in changes in their lives.
People, for example, that will participate in the Prado parking program.
Ready to participate in the Prado program, willing to be engaged with a case manager to work on goals and steps to transition away from homelessness.
What's so interesting, Derek and Chief Gazelle, is that I think people wouldn't realize that only 20% of the homeless population can be classified as, quote, ready. Does that surprise you? That such a small number are interested in services, only 20%?
It's absolutely been an educational experience for me over the last 10 months. And initially, that did come as a surprise. And I believe, generally speaking, and we've made some significant strides in our community and some very effective dialogue throughout the business community, neighborhoods, and taking really this message out there. And what we found is the general public, still at this point, we believe the majority of the public thinks that the vast majority of the homeless population is this 20%.
And it's not.
And it is not.
And so let's go to the second population, and that is one that is classified as unable. And that's a pretty big number.
Yeah, roughly 40% of the homeless population, we believe, is unable, and those are individuals that, be due to mental or various different types of dependencies, can't access services, unable to sustain enrollment in services, so they're not really in a position to make the meaningful changes in their lives.
Now, here's a population I think is probably frustrating for both of you, and that is the last 40% resistant. So they could access services, but they're not. They don't want to.
In this particular population, this is probably the population that the common public person has kind of interaction with. They're down in downtown San Luis Obispo, various different parts of the city, engaged in panhandling. They may have had some different type of interaction with them, and that's maybe been negative. And that's one where the social service providers and law enforcement really struggle to make some change.
And as I understand it, Chief, a lot of these folks, whether they're ready, unable, or resistant, are not native to San Luis Obispo.
That's correct. Another misconception, common misconception, is that the majority of our homeless population is indigenous or they're residents of San Luis Obispo or San Luis Obispo County. And what we know now is approximately 70% of those that draw police contact, primarily in this last group that we call the resistant group, 70% of those have recently arrived here.
Ask both of you, what should we do wherever we may be if we encounter someone who is homeless? I'm not saying that they're approaching us in a violent way, but I'm always kind of flummoxed. I don't know what to say. Should I give them $1? Should I give, what do I do?
Well, that's a personal choice, Brad,
right.
and I can tell you we have a huge concern with panhandling in our downtown area. Our merchants have struggled with this issue for years, and this is another example of the collaboration that goes on in this particular community of San Luis Obispo, a very invested city.
But I have heard that giving them $1 is not the right thing. Well, it's not a wise thing to do.
And that's the point I want to make, is what other cities have done, and the direction we'd like to see San Luis Obispo go is, when you give that money to the panhandler, you have no idea where it's going. And generally speaking, the consensus is that most of these are the resistant population that are down there. So what we would suggest is, if you really want to give to the organizations where you know your money is going to make a difference.